When you think about China today, it's this incredible, almost blindingly fast modernization happening, just reshaping everything.
It really is. Unbelievable pace.
But, what gets potentially lost in that forward rush, we're thinking about these ancient villages, centuries old, just sort of fading.
Mm-hmm. And there's a real emotional cost there, isn't there? The Chinese have a word for it, jiangshu.
Right, that deep homesickness, nostalgia.
Yeah.
But it feels like more than just missing a place. It's like missing a connection to history itself.
Exactly. And that feeling, that connection. Well, that's what we're really diving into today. We're looking at how China is trying to protect these ancient villages amidst all this change. Our insights are coming from a really interesting discussion. It featured Zheng Weiwei from Fudan University.
Right.
Ruan Yisan, who's a major figure in historical city preservation at Tongji University.
The pioneer, really.
Definitely. And also Li Hangting, who's the party secretary in Songyang County. That's in Zhejiang province. And they're doing some really groundbreaking work there.
Okay, great. So our mission here is to really get under the skin of why these villages matter so much, the challenges they face, obviously, and these innovative approaches, especially what's happening in Songyang.
Yeah, trying to give you a really clear picture of this, balancing act between tradition and modernity.
So where do we start? The significance, I guess. Why are they so important?
Well, Zheng Weiwei made a really powerful point. He said China's modernization is pretty unique because it's happening to a civilization with such an incredibly long, continuous history.
Right. Not many places like that.
Exactly. And these villages, they aren't just, pretty old buildings. They were the bedrock of traditional Chinese society.
The foundation, you mean? Like family, clans.
Precisely. Family, clan structures, settled agriculture. The whole rhythm of traditional life was embedded in these places. They physically embodied it. They hold so many memories, that deep emotional connection. We talked about the Inshu. The discussion brought up things like simple children's songs about a grandmother's bridge, or that really famous nostalgic song, My Motherland. These things are woven into the national identity,
So losing the villages isn't just losing architecture.
Not at all. Zheng Weiwei really stressed that. It's losing culture, losing history, losing that specific local identity that makes one place different from another. It's like erasing shared memories.
That's a heavy thought.
It is. But what's interesting is how attitudes are shifting. As China's gotten wealthier, there's this growing consensus, really, that preserving history is important.
So it's not seen as holding back progress anymore?
Increasingly not. It's actually seen as part of cultural confidence. And it's not just about looking back romantically.
Right.
It's more like rediscovering the wisdom, the aesthetics in those traditions, but from a modern standpoint, driven by, cultural pride and maybe seeing how others handle their heritage.
And Zheng Weiwei specifically mentioned Ruan Yisan's work here.
Yes, he gave him a lot of credit. Ruan Yisan was advocating for protecting ancient architecture way back, often when it wasn't popular. A real pioneer.
Okay, so that leads us nicely into the actual wisdom built into these places. Ruan Yisan talked about that.
He did. He spoke about the sort of profound intelligence embedded in traditional homes.
How so? Like what examples?
Well, he used the Jiangnan water towns, those beautiful canal towns.
Oh, okay.
He used them to show how people lived in real harmony with the environment. The water systems, the way spaces were arranged. It wasn't accidental. It showed a deep understanding.
That traditional sort of planning, feng shui, is that related?
Exactly. That kind of deep understanding of place and flow. It influenced everything, how buildings and whole villages were laid out for well-being.
And it wasn't just about looking nice or feeling good, right?
Yeah.
There was practical stuff, too.
Absolutely. Ruan Yisan highlighted the timber frame structures, the Chuanmujiegu.
Ah, yes, you mentioned those.
Their earthquake resistance is incredible. He pointed to Zawa ancient city where these old buildings stood firm after a quake damaged modern ones nearby.
How do they work?
It's about flexibility. The joints could move, absorb the shock, instead of being rigid and brittle like some modern materials. And these techniques go back thousands of years. It's amazing.
Wow. Anything else?
Oh, yeah. Things like double-layered roofs for insulation and airflow, clever fire prevention like special walls, matukeng, and using water features strategically. Really smart integrated design.
It sounds like a whole philosophy of living with nature, that Jinten Weidi idea.
Totally. Respect for nature, ecological balance, community well-being you see it in, where they put temples, ancestral halls. These were community hubs, not just religious spots.
And the houses themselves.
They were designed to support family life. Courtyards for family space, central halls for honoring elders. The layout reinforced social structures.
And that varied across China.
Hugely, you had the northern Sihuan courtyards, the southern Hakka-Tulu communal buildings. Different styles, but all emphasizing family and community.
Which is quite different from a lot of modern housing that focuses on individual space.
Right. And Ruan-Yi-san noted that shift has, changed relationships and led to people abandoning these old houses for modern comforts.
Which brings us to the loss. Were there numbers mentioned?
Yeah, and they're pretty shocking. Over 1.2 million natural villages lost in 30 years. Around Beijing, something like 100 disappearing daily at one point.
100 a day. That's staggering.
It really is. And Ruan-Yi-san's point was, when we build new things, just copying the look of old buildings isn't enough.
You need the spirit.
Exactly. Inherit the underlying wisdom, the essence. He mentioned architects like I.M. Pei and Wang Shu who've managed to blend traditional ideas into modern designs really well.
Okay, so that's the background, the importance, the wisdom.
Yeah.
Let's get into Songyang County. This sounds like a really positive case study.
It really does. Li Hongqing, the party secretary, gave some great examples. Songyang apparently has the most well-preserved traditional villages in East China, 75 on the national list, and a history going back 1,800 years.
Incredible. So what are they doing right? He shared stories.
He did. 4 main ones. First, Andahao Village. It was an old Red Army base.
Okay.
They preserved those revolutionary sites, turned it into a tourist draw, and importantly, villagers got jobs as guides, sharing their own history. So they used their specific heritage to boost the economy.
Smart. Not just preserving, but repurposing.
Exactly. Then there's Chenjiapu Village, more remote. They took an old meeting hall and brought in this famous bookstore, Yunxi bookstore.
A bookstore?
Yeah.
In a remote village?
Yeah. Designed by a well-known architect. It became a cultural hotspot and, surprisingly, brought in significant money. Shows how culture itself can be an economic engine.
That's really thinking outside the box. Well,
Chentian Village, they set up this collective economic model. Villagers, government, the village collective, everyone shares in the profits from tourism and local industries.
so the community benefits directly from preserving their heritage.
Precisely. It keeps people invested. And the last one was Yam Kengling 2 Village. Famous for ancient trees nearly abandoned.
Oh.
They attracted artists, developed homestays, art spaces, totally revived it. People came back, incomes went up, shows the power of creative industries.
Fascinating examples. And they have bigger plans.
Yes, they're aiming for a national traditional village park. A systematic approach to protection and development, hoping to be a model for the whole country. Kind of small county, big ambition.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
But there's always that tension, right? Protection versus development. How does Songyang handle that?
That's the key question. Hanking outlined their strategies. They call it overall protection with innovative development.
Meaning?
Basically, detailed planning. Identify the crucial historical areas, protect them strictly, but allow appropriate development in other zones.
Okay.
And they have a system where if villagers want modern homes, the government can acquire the old houses for preservation. It gives people options.
That sounds practical.
They also prioritize, focus resources on the most significant buildings, and crucially, keep villagers at the center.
Empowering them.
Yes, making sure they benefit directly, engaging the market carefully, but avoiding purely commercial takeovers that might push people out.
It sounds like each village has its own unique selling point, too. They're not all the same.
That seemed key. Differentiation. And Li Hongqing mentioned something interesting. While some people left initially, many are coming back now.
Because of the new opportunities.
Exactly. Things like e-commerce, live streaming from the village, they can join the modern economy while staying put. He really stressed. Preserving villages means preserving the lives within them.
That makes sense. It has to be about the people.
Mm-hmm. And Ruan-Yi-san added some important historical context here. He remembered the 80s.
When preservation wasn't popular.
Not at all. He said there was huge resistance. The focus was all on growth, tear down the old, build the new.
Hard to imagine now, but yeah.
He emphasized how much things have changed, how the value of heritage, both cultural and economic, is much better understood now. His slogan back then was basically, protect the old city, build new areas separately, use tourism to boost the economy.
Visionary thinking for the time.
Definitely. He said good leadership was vital, pointing to places like Zhuang. And it's amazing to think they helped save over 50 ancient towns. It wasn't easy. Involved a lot of persuasion against demolition.
And it made that point about small things having value.
Yeah, that even seemingly minor objects or building parts can hold huge historical meaning. You need the eyes to see it.
So looking forward, How do you stop these places from all becoming identical tourist traps? That's always a risk, isn't it?
A major challenge. Lai Ding-Hanking talked about avoiding just copying urban planning ideas onto villages.
Because they have their own logic.
Exactly. Their own connection to the environment, that traditional feng shui planning we mentioned. It was sophisticated site planning.
So respect the original layout.
Yes. And favor micro-renovations, small upgrades, minimal intervention. The idea is repair as old, keeping the authenticity.
Okay.
And the absolute key, he said, is the unique local culture, lineage, traditions, heritage, stories. That's the soul you need to preserve.
Makes sense. Keep the distinctiveness.
And Ruan Yisan expanded on that, talking about the sheer diversity across China. Northern courtyards, southern halls, cave dwellings, all adapted to local conditions.
Right.
Understanding those regional differences is vital for authentic preservation. He even pointed out how Jiangnan and Yangzhou, though close, have distinct styles. You have to respect local ways.
And it all ties back to that deeper philosophy.
Yes, that ingrained idea of harmony between people and nature. It runs deep in Chinese tradition.
Okay, there was also a question from the audience, wasn't there, about improper development?
Yes, someone brought up that huge controversial Guangdong statue in Jingzhou.
Ah, I remember hearing about that.
Ruan Yisan said he'd actually been involved in Jingzhou's early planning and had concerns even then about some demolitions. Regarding the statue, he didn't know all the details, but suspected it clashed badly with the cityscape.
So it's about fitting in, respecting the context.
Exactly. Careful evaluation is crucial. He also made a plea for better art education to improve aesthetic judgment generally.
Interesting point. Another audience question was about criteria, right? Like, do you save every village? How do you decide?
Good question. Ruan Yisan laid out the usual criteria. First, history generally over 100 years old, with records, but those Songyangs are much older.
Okay, age and records.
Second, traditional character. It needs to still look largely historical, maybe over half the buildings being traditional.
Makes sense. Has to retain its feel.
Third, people. It should still be a living village, not deserted.
Right, the community aspect.
And finally, the context. Things like the water systems, the surrounding environment, the layout, they should be relatively intact too.
So it's a combination of factors.
Yes. And Li Hanqing agreed, but added that prioritization is needed. You look at the environment, the potential for revitalization.
But be careful about just demolishing things.
Definitely. He advised caution, saying even seemingly ordinary villages might have value later. Consult experts, give it time, especially now, with fewer villages left.
Good point. And perspective matters too.
Yes, he noted that the 100 years might seem recent in China, but it's significant heritage elsewhere. And even small things hold memories.
Okay, so wrapping this up, it's clear that protecting these ancient villages in China is, well, incredibly complex.
It really is a constant balancing act between modernization and preserving this deep cultural, historical weight.
But places like Songyang show it's possible, right? These innovative approaches that respect local culture, empower people, they can actually drive revitalization.
Yeah, it shows heritage preservation isn't just about saving the past. It can fuel the present and future, economically and socially.
And deciding which villages make the cut requires that really careful thought history, architecture, but also, crucially, that living community element.
It's not a simple checklist. It needs real understanding and a long view.
So the final thought to leave everyone with. As China keeps developing at this pace, how can these lessons from village preservation help protect cultural heritage more broadly?
That's the big question, isn't it? How do you make sure progress doesn't just erase history and identity?
And what's our role in that? As individuals, as communities,
Yeah.
how do we navigate this balance between old and new?
Definitely something for all of us to think about, wherever we are. How do we value and carry forward our own heritage?